Okay, welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, here to bring you another pick and prediction video. It's the worst time of the year. It's the Super Bowl. And why is it the worst time of the year? Because after this game, after Sunday, there is no more football for another 7 months or so. So, always a tough time of the year for me. But here we go. Super Bowl, Seahawks, Patriots, two teams that had kind of two different kind of paths to get here. Seahawks beat a bunch of playoff teams in the regular season. We're looking at like one of the better teams in the league for a majority of the year. Patriots took advantage of a weak schedule. I thought it'd be a weak schedule back in the summer. It turned out to be just that. Took advantage of that to be the 2 seed, made the playoffs, had some other breaks go their way in the playoffs, and here we are in the Super Bowl. Seahawks coming to this as a 4.5 point favorite. This opened at 5, quickly, almost immediately dropped to 4.5, and it has stayed at 4.5 ever since. This has been at 4.5 for like 10 days. Now, you guys know a lot of the money gets bet on the Super Bowl on Saturday, Sunday morning, afternoon. So maybe then we're going to finally see some line movement, but we haven't seen anything in for about 2 weeks, 10 days or so. All right, let's go ahead and get into the matchup analyses on how I see this game playing out and the different factors that I think are important in this one, right? So starting off with quarterback, Seahawks offense, you got Sam Darnold. For a good portion of the year, he was top 6 in a lot of passing metrics that matter. Kind of regressed towards the end of the year. But what I really want to point out is how he's done under pressure. Under pressure, Sam Darnold hasn't been the quarterback who's throwing balls down the field. He's keeping it short, but it's working. He's top 10 in completion percentage and yards per attempt when pressured. The Patriots, on their head, their pass defense, look, overall this season, 10th in yards per attempt allowed, but 24th in completion percentage. And that's going against backup or bad quarterbacks for 2/3 of the season. They've played some bad quarterbacks. Again, this is the easiest schedule in the NFL, or they play the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL. They have the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL. And then in terms of pressure, the Patriots aren't a big pressure team until the playoffs. We've seen them get pressure in the playoffs, though I think weather conditions and quarterback situations have a big factor and big part to play in that. So what I'm saying is when the Patriots pressure Sam Darnold, I don't think Sam Darnold's going to necessarily buckle under pressure. He's going to have his full allotment of wide receivers. He's not a backup quarterback, hasn't played in 2 years. So I think he's going to do well enough to manage the offense when he's under pressure against a Patriots defense that's probably a little overrated. And even by the metrics, they're really not that great as it is. So I think that's an advantage for Seattle in this one. Go to the wide receiver room. The Seahawks wide receiver room is JSN. It's really JSN and the others. Now, JSN finished first in receiving yards on the season. 1,700 yards receiving. He finished first in yards per route run. He's top of the board on pretty much all metrics that matter. I believe he has a drop percentage of 0. I don't think he dropped a pass all year, at least in the regular season. Then you got, Cooper Kupp. He's definitely obviously not the same guy back when he was with the Rams. I think his average depth of completion this year is 6 yards. So he's more of a yak guy underneath. He could catch 5 passes in this game and finish with 30 yards. He's not really doing anything or scaring you in this game. And then you have Rashid Shaheed, who they traded for midseason. More of a special teams. He's had more of a special teams impact versus receiving, but he does have wheels. Maybe this is a game where you finally see him hit a big play down the field. In terms of the Patriots secondary, Christian Gonzalez is the headliner there. So you're going to see JSN versus Christian Gonzalez, elite wide receiver versus an elite corner. So this could be a battle of the others, right? Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed against the other defensive backs for the Patriots. Not a who's who of guys back there. Not exactly elite corners back there outside of Christian Gonzalez. Again, this pass defense has just been kind of average this season. This is a game where I think the others could have a decent game. Cooper Kupp and Shaheed could have a decent game against the other Patriot defensive backs. But I also don't believe that Christian Gonzalez can cover JSN for 60 minutes because I don't think anybody can. So because of that, I give the advantage in the wide receiver room versus secondary to the Seahawks in this one. And then finally, run game. The Seahawks have had one of the worst run games in the NFL. Maybe you could say the worst. They're 30th in stuff rate, 31st in EPA per attempt, and 31st in success rate. And now they have no Zach Charbonnet. Against the Patriots rush defense, it really is just middle of the pack. Early in the season, maybe the first 6 games or so, they were actually the number 1 ranked run defense in the league. But they've faded since. They're now middle of the pack run defense basically in all their metrics except for success rate, which is 27th in the league. So how to see this? Who do I feel like has the advantage in this one? Honestly, I think the Seahawks had the advantage of this one. I think Zach Charbonnet not being there is almost addition by subtraction because I think Kenneth Walker, K9, is a much better running back than Charbonnet. I think K9 could find some run. I'm not saying he's going crazy in this one, but I think he could find some running room in this game, hit some big chunk plays, hit some slash type run plays, get some 9-yard gain here, 12-yard gain there that you're not going to really see with Charbonnet, and he's going to just kind of bog down that running game as we've seen this season. So because of that, I got the Seahawks with the advantage on the run game. Not a major advantage, but I think they have the advantage in this matchup. All right. Flip side of that, the Patriots offense against the Seahawks defense. So the Patriots, obviously led by quarterback Drake May, runner up in the MVP. I think he missed it by 1 vote, so he was right there with Matthew Stafford. He's top of the board on all pass metrics that mattered. First in a lot of them, yards per attempt, the completion percentage. He's been feasting all year long, and he goes downfield. He has a high average depth of target. I believe 8.9 or 9 yards is his A dot this season. But he's going against a pass defense that's top 5 in explosives, yards per attempt, EPA allowed, and they're 7th in pressure rate. They can get pressure on Drake May in this one. And why is that important? Well, New England in the divisional round played against the Houston Texans. Maybe the best defense in the NFL, maybe the best pass defense in the NFL. In the AFC Championship game, they played against the Denver Broncos. Maybe the best defense in the NFL, maybe the best pass defense in the NFL. Well, I say that because Houston, Denver, and Seattle can all have an argument for who's the best pass defense in the league. And Drake May didn't have a good game against Houston, and Drake May didn't have a good game against Denver. So I can't see Drake May having a good game against Seattle when they're comparable to those defenses. So because of that, go ahead and give me the advantage. I think the advantage is on Seattle's side in terms of pass defense. Adding to that, wide receiver room, the Patriots wide receiver room is just kind of average. Stephon Diggs, downside of his career, right? He's had a good regular season, though. I'm not taking that away from him. He's had a quiet playoffs. I think he's got what does he have? 40 or I think he's 40 or 50 yards receiving. I think he's averaging 6 yards a catch right now in the playoffs. So he's not really doing anything in the postseason. And that's against Denver. That's against Houston. So now that's going to be a similar defense, right, in Seattle. Because they might have the best cornerback duo in the league. Reek Woolen and Josh Jobe have had a phenomenal year. Their safeties are vulnerable. And I think if the Patriots move the ball in this game, I think it's going to be Hunter Henry. I think Hunter Henry is going to be the better pass catcher on the Patriots in the Patriots wide receiver room in this one. So look out for Hunter Henry to maybe, I'm not going to say he's had a huge game, but maybe make some big plays, maybe catch one big seam ball down the middle for 25, 30 yards on a 3rd and long or something like that. But despite all of that, I think these corners can clamp down on these wide receivers because after Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, and these other guys, they're not getting open, not against what Reek Woolen and Josh Jobe have done to date. So go ahead and give me the advantage to Seattle's secondary. And then finally, running game. Patriots are a subpar running game. Nobody's going to say Ramondre Stevenson is Adrian Peterson, right? Or Josh Jacobs or something along those lines. He's not, right? In fact, Ramondre Stevenson, a lot of people wanted him replaced during the year by Trevion Henderson. Henderson, he didn't even really get the ball against Denver, so I don't know how the running game carries are going to be divvied out in this one. I don't know if they're going to trust him. I don't know if it's because it was in the snow. They didn't trust Henderson in the snow. I don't know what the reasoning is. But for the most part, it's a subpar running game. 24th in EPA per attempt, 18th in success rate, 17th in explosives, and 28th in stuff rate. Basically, if they're not playing the Buffalo Bills, who have the worst run defense in the league, you're not really seeing much out of this Patriots running game. And Seattle, this is the best run defense in the league, and I think this is the biggest mismatch in this game is the Seahawks run defense versus the Patriots running game. So this is a big advantage, I think a major advantage for the Seahawks in this one, or in that matchup. All right, and then lastly, let's go into these are some other factors that I think are going to play into this game. First thing, though, I want to point out, though, Seattle, as I kind of said at the top, battle-tested. They went 6-2 versus playoff teams in the regular season. And obviously, you're playing playoff teams in the postseason, but 6-2 in the regular season, battle-tested, got it done, got a lot of wins. New England, opposite of that. Have a 3-9-1 strength of schedule, easiest in the league. And then in the playoffs, they go against the Texans with no Nico Collins. Now, Stroud had a bad game anyway, so we don't know how that played out. And then no Bo Nix in the AFC Championship game going against Jarrett Stidham, who hadn't thrown a pass in 2 years. And the Patriots won that game 10-7. And not only that, if it wasn't for that fumble, like, that lateral throwback to set up the Patriots touchdown, man, these guys might have lost to Jarrett Stidham, who hadn't thrown a ball in 2 years. So that just a couple things I wanted to point out between how both of these teams got here and who they've played this season. Also, Seattle, again, this you're probably seeing kind of the tone of this video. They're the number one ranked third down defense in the NFL, and in the NFC Championship game against the Rams, MVP Matthew Stafford, they allowed 1 third down conversion in that game. The Patriots, 13th ranked third down offense, so basically about average, but in the red zone, they could have some issues. Their red zone offense is 22nd in the league. Their red zone defense is 23rd in the league. So, could be some problems there in terms of conversions for the Patriots in this game. And then this is the biggest story right here. I think this is the biggest way that this game is going to turn in a way that I don't see, which you could probably tell how I think this game is going to go. Seahawks, 28 turnovers on the season. That's 31st in the league. Now they have not turned over the rock in the playoffs. It's a different team, different Sam Darnold, whatever the case may be. Still, 28 turnovers in the regular season is 28 turnovers. If they revert back to that, that's going to give New England a lot of opportunities to stay in this game and maybe win this game. And then for New England, just another thing I want to point out, New England special teams is first in punt return average. So you're talking turnovers, you're talking special teams. When you don't really have advantages traditionally, offensively and defensively, those could be ways that a team, an underdog, can be able to pull an upset, right? So special teams, hit a big punt return for a touchdown, something like that. Want to point out, though, Seattle is third in punt return average, so they could do the same thing. Rashid Shaheed could house one. He housed the kickoff, right, against San Francisco, the opening kick. So just some other factors that I think are at play in this game. So then finally, to my pick. So the tone is pretty clear, right? I think that Seattle's defense can dominate New England's offense in this game. I don't think New England's going to be able to run the ball. So now you're talking about one-dimensional attack. Now you're saying, well, Drake May, I mean, he could have won MVP runner-up. He's good enough to do it. Drake May can ball, but the wide receiver room isn't that dangerous, in my opinion. Reek Woolen and Josh Jobe can cover those guys. So now Drake May is looking at tight windows and having to play hero ball pretty much every drive, every third down. He's gonna be hard pressed to be able to make a play and keep the Patriots offense on the field. Because I think you're seeing a lot of 3rd and 7s in this game because I don't think New England can run the football. When I was first looking at this game, it reminded me a bit of that Seattle-Denver game. You remember when Seattle beat the trash out of Peyton Manning? I don't think it's going to be like that. I forgot what the score in that was, like 46-9 or something. I don't think it's going to go like that in this one. But I think Seattle's defense is going to dominate the pace and the game flow in this one. I think JSN can't be covered by Christian Gonzalez, so eventually he's going to be hitting some plays in this one, and Sam Darnold is going to hit some throws to get Seattle moving, to get Seattle in scoring position, and to get touchdowns. And as I said, I think Kenneth Walker is going to give him some balance. I think K9 is going to have a solid game in this one. So because of that, go ahead and give me Seattle and laying the 4.5. Now, my model also said 4.5, and I'm probably gonna hedge here, and I'm gonna lay the 4.5, but I'm gonna also money line this. But I'm all in on Seattle. I will say this: I saw today that 70% of the money right now is on the Seattle spread, so that does get me a little nervous. Last year at this time, though, that made me flip my pick from Philly. I thought Philly was gonna win by double digits. Should have stuck with it. Made me flip from Philly to KC. I'm not doing that this time around. I'm going Seattle laying at 4.5, but I will hedge and take Seattle money line too. And then I don't ever do over unders, but I do that 2 for the money. 2 for the money. If you guys know that movie, I always watch that movie around this time. It's kind of a mediocre movie, but it's about just this what we're talking about here. So I will do an over under in this game because I think Seattle's defense is going to dominate. Because I think they're going to swamp New England. I don't think New England's really going to be able to score much in this one. So, and I don't think Seattle's just going to run away with it. So I can see something like 24-10, 24-7, 31-10, something like that. And because of that, I'm going to go the under 46 because I think Seahawks defense dominates. Somebody from Seattle's defense should win MVP, but he's probably not going to. But we'll see who it is. All right, so anyways, that wraps it up. Seahawks laying to 4.5, and I'm going under 46 in this one. If you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And you're going to see off-season videos as we build towards the 2027 football season in both college and pro. Take care.